Hey everyone, Surgeon here with another cigar video review. Today we're reviewing something fresh from the IPCPR, the Davidoff Winston Churchill Late Hour. I'm excited to smoke the Davidoff Late Hour, fresh from the IPCPR. This is the Robusto size, it's a 5x52. What I found interesting going to the Davidoff site is that they list this as a 45-minute smoking time. Now, if you follow my reviews, you know that that's probably pretty quick. I definitely wouldn't recommend smoking Robusto in 45 minutes. I would suggest probably a minimum of an hour and 15 minutes. Otherwise, you're probably smoking your cigar too fast. You're not going to get the most enjoyment out of the cigar that's possible. A little bit about the Sir Winston Churchill Late Hour. Obviously named after Sir Winston Churchill, one of the most famous cigar smokers probably of all time, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain during World War II. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually share his namesake. That was my birth name, so it's kind of interesting to me, and the cigar kind of resonates with me. So this is obviously named after him. One of the things that makes this cigar special is that it contains tobacco that was aged in a former Scotch malt whiskey barrel for 6 months. To my knowledge, no one's done that before. I've seen rum barrel aging, I've seen bourbon barrel aging, but never Scotch barrel aging. So what happens is some of the whiskey will impart nuances to the tobacco. Would you call that flavoring? I don't know. Would you call that infusing? I don't know. But I'm excited to try it out. I'm a big fan of Scotch whiskey. I'm a big fan of Davidoff offerings, so this is going to be a good cigar. So this uses a lot of Nicaraguan tobacco. It's got some Condega, it's got some Dominican Visos, and it uses a Mexican binder. Wrapper on this is a Habano Ecuador, and we've already smoked one of these for sharing our pairings, and I've already smoked the Churchill of this. So I've had a little bit of experience. I found the Toro, which we smoked at Sharing Our Pairings, performed significantly differently than the Churchill. So I'm interested to find out how the Robusto performs, whether it's similar to the Toro or whether it's similar to Churchill. But we're going to try this out. Now, I'm not going to show you my lighting and cutting. You can see that on my channel, why I light before I cut. Check that out. Interestingly, right away I'm getting that sort of mushroom vegetal note that I was getting off the Churchill, which I didn't get in the Toro. And I don't know if it was there in the Toro and just kind of got blown over by the spices that were there, but I get it immediately. It's like a stewed mushroom, and I get it immediately. Lots of sweetness on the retrohale. Not getting the same spices that I was getting off the Toro, so that's kind of interesting. Draw, I would say, is on the resistant end. I did use a little bit of a bigger V-cut, which is my Lotus V-cutter, and I'm surprised to find the draw a little bit on the resistant side. I didn't find the Churchill or the Toro resistant, so this one could be packed a little bit tighter. So we'll let the first third settle in and talk about the flavors as they come out. So it didn't take very long in the first third for that spice, that baking spice, to come to the forefront. And it's kind of mixture of like black pepper, cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg. Very similar to the Toro, but it was delayed. I'm surprised. It took me a few puffs to get that. But now I'm definitely getting it, and it's really running over that mushroom. So I think that's what happened previously on the Toro as well, is that that mushroom is there, but it's such a nuanced flavor. It's like a light plus strength level flavor that those spices just run it right over. Coming up on the 15-minute mark here, and the intensity of those spices is starting to drop off a little bit, which is probably a good thing because it was very, very intense for that first half inch or so. Retrohale has a lot of that sweetness that I was getting off of the Toro when I smoked it on Sharing Our Pairings. It's kind of a almost like a cotton candy sweetness, so it's not sickeningly sweet, but it is pretty pronounced. And then post-draw, I get a lot of that pepper lingering on my palate, and I do get a little bit of drying mouthfeel, so kind of wishing I had whiskey or something, or a rum to pair it with. Right now I have nothing. I'm probably going to end up getting some carbonated water. So far so good. Really enjoyed the first two that I smoked. So far I'm really enjoying the Robusto. I think this is going to be really geared towards people who are more intense cigar smokers. This is definitely not for the Davidoff smoker who would typically have smoked the original Churchill, which is quite light. This one is definitely in the medium plus range. Passing the 22-minute mark here on the Davidoff Late Hour. Flavors are starting to blend in nicely now. Underneath the sweetness is a little bit of caramel, a little bit of toffee. The mushroom's kind of there, but again, there's enough of a spice influence that it's really difficult to pick up. You can see the ash is holding really nicely here. I haven't made any touch-ups at all, but that's kind of probably taken for granted on Davidoff. You probably don't want to have a Davidoff that you're having to touch up. It is a premium cigar, so you kind of expect it to be excellent. But smoking very, very well. So the expectation of a 45-minute smoke, I think, again, I'm probably smoking this a little bit faster than I should, but I would expect a minimum out of this Robusto should be an hour and 15 minutes if you really want to get the maximum flavor out of this bad boy. So probably have about 5 minutes here before we're in the middle third, and we'll talk about the transitions as we get there. Passing the 30-minute mark here, the ash finally dropped off. Basically the entire first third as one single ash, which is pretty good construction, I think. Cocoa that I was getting on the Toro at about this point has come through in the Robusto, so it seems like the middle third is when that cocoa kicks in. And it's a really nice, rich, powdered cocoa. Sweetness drops off a little bit, and the cocoa's kind of taking the forefront. And then again, that pepper's still sitting there. Now, the progression is really the same as the Toro. The peppers move from the sort of the middle of my tongue to the back of my throat and the back of my tongue, lingering lightly between draws, and it's fallen from like a medium plus to a light plus. So still adding an accent flavor there, but really significantly down in strength from where it was. Passing the halfway point here, coming up on the 1 hour mark on the Davidoff Late Hour. I've said it a couple times, I'm going to say it again. Do not smoke this cigar in 45 minutes. You'll be gravely missing out on a lot of the nuances and flavors here. Getting a lot of post-draw cedar now. Still got a bit of a drying mouthfeel to it on the retrohale. Elegant sweetness, cocoa. Mushroom is detectable on the retrohale, not on the regular draw. And the mushroom gets pushed aside almost immediately by that cedar. Again, ash is holding well, burn is holding well, no touch-ups required, great cigar. Very much enjoying this. Looking forward to seeing what it has to offer in the last third. We'll be in the last third here in about 10 or 15 minutes. Passing the hour and 15-minute mark here on the Davidoff Late Hour. Significant profile change going into the last third. The cocoa's kind of fallen off. The pepper is still there, but it's very, very light, almost undetectable. Cedar's still there nicely in the post-draw, and the mushroom that was there initially just at the very beginning of the cigar and kind of present in the middle third has kind of come back, and it's got a little bit of a vegetal component along with that, so I'm getting kind of a little chlorophyll component on the retrohale. Still getting the cocoa on the retrohale, some nice spices underneath that. A little bit of earthiness, tough to discern whether that's mixed in with the mushroom. There's kind of a mushroomy earthiness to it. It's nice. It's a nice finish. It is burning a little bit hot right now, so I'm going to set it down and kind of slow down here. Again, I think their estimate of, I've said it, I'm going to keep saying it, their estimate of 45 minutes is just way too fast. I'm at the hour 15-minute mark here. I can easily get another 15 minutes out of the cigar. I think an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes is really your ideal smoking time if you want to get the most out of the cigar, and I suspect with the MSRP in this bad boy, you probably do. Wrapping up the review of the Davidoff Late Hour and the Robusto Vitola. Fantastic cigar. Very similar to the Toro performance. I'd say the Toro and Robusto are very similar. The Churchill performed much subtler, so if you're looking for a less intense smoking experience, not so full-bodied, the Churchill might be the way to go for you. I found that the spice was almost not present at all. That mushroom character was a lot more pronounced. It was a lot lighter, more in line with maybe the Davidoff Nicaragua, for example. Thanks for checking out the video review. We'll be back next week with another Cigar Federation video review.